Hello, welcome to another Becoming a Modern Man. We are playing Blue-Red Pyromancer, and we are running up against Lantern Control, which is one of the hottest decks in Modern right now, having just won the Pro Tour. And this is kind of a Pro Tour face-off. Opponent playing Lantern, and we're playing Blue-Red Pyromancer from the top 8. So we keep this hand. It's obviously very land-heavy, but we can get to stick a young Pyromancer, hopefully. Unfortunately, our opponent plays a Dark Slick Shores and takes the Pyromancer. But we draw into another one, so that's nice. We crack the Scalding Tarn, play Steam, get Steam Vents, play Serum Visions, and we see Mana Leak and Remand. Drawing a Cryptic of the Serum Visions. I don't know how many of these we really want. I mean, we didn't entirely know what our opponent was playing at this point in time. I could probably take the Remand or the Mana Leak. Not entirely sure what I did there. Probably don't want both. Looks like Lantern, which I think I did top both. First Counter Magic is good in this matchup, because really what we're trying to do is prevent our opponent from playing an Ensnaring Bridge. Or at least, well, yeah, sticking an Ensnaring Bridge really for the most part. We get to attack with the Pyromancer. That's the turn. Our opponent's put together the Lantern plus Pixis. Isn't quite so good, but he has to. Pixis exiles the both players' top card of their library. So it's not quite as good as Codex Shredder in a lot of instances if they want to keep this card that's on top of their library. There comes the Codex Shredder. Serpent's got a lot of control over our library at this point in time. We're still okay though. We've got Counter Magic for the Ensnaring Bridge. Opponent isn't particularly flush on mana, so we can certainly win through here. Just need to keep chipping away at our opponent and seeing what we get given, basically. It draws an Ensnaring Bridge, just passes the turn. Gonna attack here. And mills us. Ancient Stirring just gets another Codex Shredder. So, as I say, opponent's got a lot of control over the top of our library at this point. Opt end of turn. I'm trying to get rid of a Lightning Bolt. I crack my fetch here to shuffle that away. I feel like Lightning Bolt is one of the best ways for us to win through an Ensnaring Bridge, so decide to get that hidden away. And decides not to try and get rid of our Lightning Bolt here with his other Codex Shredder. So I'm happy to take the bolt here. Thing in the ice. We can attack for 3 here. And we can drop the thing as well, given that we can still keep up Cryptic Mana. Goes for the Ensnaring Bridge. Just going to Mana Leak it here, given that our opponent doesn't have enough mana to cast to pay for it. I'm just going to bolt end of turn, given there aren't any real targets for it in the deck. I'm going to shuffle here because we don't want Roast. But surprisingly lets us have an Ancestral Vision. Ancestral Vision is quite good in this matchup, because basically we get to draw 3 cards, 2 of which won't be able to be filtered by our opponent. So it gives us 2 draws that our opponent hasn't been able to mess around with, so to speak. So certainly a danger for our opponent, so I'm a little surprised he let us take it. Onto land. So we just run out here. Attack with all our guys. Put everyone down to 3. It has a Whir of Invention here for 3. Getting the Ensnaring Bridge. I could have countered it, but I know my opponent has an Ensnaring Bridge in hand. So if I counter draw there, we actually will lose, basically. So the plan here is, for our opponent, he's going to have to try and play an Ensnaring Bridge here. And so the plan here is to counter bounce. The problem with this play is that if our opponent's other card in hand is a land or a Mox Opal, he can recast the Ensnaring Bridge, which is what he does here. So we're pretty dead here, but thanks to Ancestral Vision we are still alive in this matchup, because there is a chance that we can draw a Cryptic off of the Ancestral Vision, or the Abrade that we have in our deck. There's one Abrade main deck, so those are the 2 answers that we're potentially going to be able to get into. Meanwhile, we're just playing whatever our opponent gives us, which is mostly land by the looks of things. Opponent's also ticking up on life with Inventor's Fair. Ancestral Vision comes off of Suspend finally. I'm going to draw 3 cards, one of which is going to be a land. Unfortunately, none of these cards is a Cryptic or a Braid. We do draw another Ancestral Vision though, so we do have another crack at it. I'm going to try and draw the Cryptic here, which obviously is on top, but our opponent's not having any of that, which is unsurprising. I'm also going to shuffle away Snapcaster, because that's another thing we could do, Snapcaster Cryptic. So those are kind of the answers that we were looking for. So I mean, yeah, we have a few options as answers. Basically, all we need to do is get rid of this Ensnaring Bridge, and then we can attack for the win. And alternatively, we could potentially draw enough burn, but our opponent's gaining 1 life off the Inventor's Fair each turn, so that doesn't seem like a very reliable out. There's your Braid, that goes away into the graveyard, as does a Snapcaster Mage. Searing's Visions, basically Visions and then trying to protect the cards that we actually want to draw. And we're down to 11 cards in our deck at this point. Our opponent uses Academy Runes to put the Ensnaring Bridge in his graveyard back on top of his library, and he plays the second Ensnaring Bridge. He probably could have done that a while ago. I think possibly only just cottoned onto it at this, but yeah, once he's got a second Ensnaring Bridge, we really don't have any chance of being able to win, even if we drew a Cryptic, because all we can do is bounce with the Cryptic. And the Braid is well and truly in the graveyard, so we would have to draw Snapcaster and Cryptic Command, and I'm not even sure that's even possible at this moment in time. There are 3 Cryptics in the deck. So there's 2 Cryptics left in our library, I believe, unless it got exiled. Okay, so we've got 6 cards that got exiled. I didn't see any of them being Cryptic, but I can't quite remember. End up conceding. I suppose we could have tried to play it out, but I suppose at that point we'd kind of limited our options, and yeah, I suppose we could have played it out for the Ancestral and seen if we got there. Sort of, I guess, Snapcaster Cryptic or double Cryptic are options that could have won us the game. So I suppose that was slightly early concession, but I think it's fairly likely that we would have lost there. I actually don't know if we've got enough turns left, because our opponent's going to be able to mill us for 3 cards per turn. So we wouldn't have a lot of options. So it would kind of come down to our last few cards, and it'd have to be very specific options for it to work for us. So yeah, I decided to call that a game, unfortunately. So let's go on to the sideboarding. Okay, so here we are with the sideboard. So the cards we don't want in this matchup. We don't want Spell Snare, it doesn't really counter anything at all, actually. I can't think of any cards that they they have that are 2 mana. Basically all their cards are either 1 mana or 3 mana, or their Whir of Invention, essentially. So it doesn't hit anything, so we definitely want to get rid of that. Crypt is obviously very good at being an answer to Ensnaring Bridge, even once it's on the board, so that's something we want to bring in. Roasts definitely want to come out, Abrade in. Thing in the Ice isn't all that exciting or useful in this matchup. It's all a bit slow, so bringing those out. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got at least 6 cards that we want to take out in this matchup. In terms of things we want to bring in, second Abrade certainly wants to come in as an artifact destruction spell. Ceremonious Redaction as well, obviously very good as an answer to the artifacts, and a solid 1 mana counter spell. We probably want to bring in Dispels as a way of countering Whir of Invention, and possibly Negate as well. And then we've got Relic as well, potentially. I mean, there isn't a lot of use for Relic, but Relic does prevent the Academy Ruins situation where your opponent's just rebuying their Spell Snares, their Ensnaring Bridges, rather. And Vendilion Clique's quite good as well. Obviously, their deck is at heart a combo deck, and you can get rid of their stuff with that. And also, it's an aggressive threat that can kill our opponent fairly swiftly if left unchecked. So yeah, I think some combination of counter spells, Vendilion Clique, and maybe the Relic want to come in. So that's 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So yeah, if we take out the cards we talked about, bring in 2 Ceremonious Rejections, of Vendilion Clique, 2 Dispels, and the Relic, I think that's probably what we'll be looking at. Maybe the Negate, I'm not sure about that one. And then yeah, bring out Thing in the Ice, Roasts, and Spell Snare, as they're not too much use. So yeah, possibly the Electrolyze as well, as it's not overly useful either. So let's go to game 2. Okay, so here we are with game 2. So this is a mulligan, fortunately. This hand is equally awkward. Well, not equally awkward, it's not an obvious mulligan. You don't have to mulligan this hand, but I don't really like getting stuck on one land, particularly against a Lantern. So I decided to mulligan this as well, so we're going to go to 5, which is not really the way we wanted to start this game. Yeah, I guess this works. And we get to keep his Serum Visions on top. Fortunately, our opponent has a Codex Shredder, and he's going to mill us, knowing that we scry to the top. Which is clever, but annoying. We draw into an Opt, which is pretty good. These things go, opponent's going to Inquisition, we're going to Opt in response. So we can draw a little bit deeper. Find a Serum Visions, which we're going to keep, but our opponent's most likely going to chuck away for us. And then a second Inquisition takes our Lightning Bolt. Could have cast the Lightning Bolt, I suppose. But then our opponent takes our Dispel, which we probably don't want to happen necessarily. Draw into Lightning Bolt, which is fine, but I'd rather have had a land. Just going to Lightning Bolt our opponent here. Could have saved it, but just want to take our opponent's life down while we can. One goes for a Whir for 1, presumably looking for a Lantern, which I'm going to Dispel. but our opponent has another whir. So he's going to be able to find that lantern he was looking for. And mills our opt. And yeah, unfortunately we don't draw a land there. It's kind of bold of our opponent to mill there blindly. Like not to bolt here. Draw just ceremonies for rejection, which our opponent lets us have, which is nice of him. Pixies comes down. We could have ceremonies rejected one of these. Maybe we should have done, in hindsight. But I'm trying to focus really on using this on ensnaring bridge ideally. But yeah, maybe that was the better play, or the play we should have made there. Just try and preserve the top of our library. So yeah, this is kind of dull, but essentially we're trying to find another land, and our opponent's being fairly successful in preventing us getting one. And to remand, put mills an island into our graveyard. It's certainly much harder for them to prevent the drawing lands than it is like relevant spells, but here we're certainly seeing it's very possible for them to. And yeah, I don't know, as I say, we should have possibly countered the Pixis, and that might have let us draw into a land a bit sooner. We remand a Whir of Invention, drawing into an opt. Put in words for another Codex Shredder. Mills a bunch of our lands. But he's now tapped out with all his mill rocks, and we have a land on top, so we can opt into that. So finally hit our third land. And we're going to be able to suspend Ancestral Vision here as well, which might be able to make us get us to our fourth land, all being well. Ancient Stirrings finds Ensnaring Bridge, which is now going to drop for our opponent. And we're going to ceremoniously reject the Ensnaring Bridge, but our opponent has another one to hand, it would appear. We're trying to Logic Knot. It's going to write young Pyromancer here now. And basically our plays here is to hopefully we eventually draw our fourth land, and basically we're trying to set up a one-hit kill, or a one-attack kill. But it is likely to be difficult. But mills another land from us, mills Ancestral Vision, gets back an Ensnaring Bridge from the graveyard with Academy Ruins. So now he's got two Ensnaring Bridges, which makes it that much more difficult for us to win, but we'll see how we go here. We're not completely dead. So we're going to lightning bolt our opponent. So third young Pyromancer. Then the Codex Shredder comes down, and we're down to 18 cards in hand at this point. Maybe have to Ancestral Vision, and we'll see what we get here. So we're drawn to an Abrade, an Opt, and a Vendilion Click, and then a Relic comes off the top. So we just need the fourth land really at this point. We can Abrade one of the Ensnaring Bridges and then bounce the other one. So we have all the answers in hand, but it's just a matter of drawing that final land, which is becoming increasingly difficult because our opponent's got a lot of mill rocks on the go. Again, prevents us drawing the land. We're down to 5 cards here, so we've got to go for it. So we buried the ensnaring bridge, but there isn't really any chance of this working out. As I said, we buried one of the ensnaring bridges. Let's see if anything happens. We can somehow accidentally draw into a land. But yeah, that's not going to happen. I go for a Snapcaster Opt. Not that it helps. And yeah, that's game basically. Yeah, so yeah, unfortunately that is game. We can't really win from here. Our opponent's actually able to mill us out, so we needed to win that turn. Kind of annoying. We had all the answers we needed through the game, and it was just our opponent's ability to stop us from generating the mana that we needed, of playing our 4th land essentially, that came to bite us. As I say, I think looking back, maybe the play would have been to ceremoniously reject the Pixis when our opponent played it, and then we would have had a much better chance of drawing the land. So in hindsight, that was probably the play, and then hopefully we would have been able to win from there. But yeah, unfortunately, had all the answers, but none of the lands to play it with, and yeah, the mull to 5 obviously hurt in that regard as well. So yeah, if we'd had a 7-card hand, I'd think we'd have done a lot better. So yeah, I don't think it's possibly not truly reflective of how this matchup plays out, because we did get quite unlucky here. Obviously, we've got a good number of answers in the deck, and I think it's not necessarily a favourable matchup, but I think we certainly have all the tools to win against Lantern. It's just a matter of how quickly they set up, essentially, and what we can do to interact and disrupt that. But yeah, the mull to 5 really hurt here, and unfortunately it was close, but not quite close enough, because we never hit our 4th land.